Hi, and welcome to the Quantum Creativity Show. I'm your host, Santari Green, broadcasting to you from Burgess Hill in the UK, with my co-host, Cezarina Trone, broadcasting from Cincinnati, Ohio. So, welcome back to another Quantum Creativity Show, Cezarina.
Thank you, Santari. I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you for being here with me once more, and we have a charming guest from the US as well. She's Saleena Ki. So, welcome to the show, Saleena.
Right, and it's actually Ki.
Key.
So it's
Saleena Ki.
Saleena Ki.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like the key, the chi, the energy, and the keys.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're going to be hearing more about the Vibrakeys and your omni-dimensional travels during the show. And let's just tune up together. Let's see where it takes us.
Wonderful. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Well, I have several websites. One is Vibrakeys.com.
Oh, that's
like
okay.
vibrationkeys.com.
Yeah, I think
and that's the art. That's the art that I do. You can see back here on the wall some of it.
Yeah.
And that began officially in 1997. And
Beautiful.
some of the Vibrakeys actually stimulate the omni-dimensional travel adventure journeys, or they are a journey that turns into a Vibrakey.
I just love the name. You have to tell us the story of the name, because that's what draws me. When I first heard it, I think it was on the writing teleclass, that when I first heard your voice and you're talking a little bit about it, and then I went and I found that, and I was like, I love this name. I love the energetic signature of that word or that name. That's what pulled me in.
And you're speaking of Vibrakeys?
Yeah.
Or omni-dimensional travel adventure?
The Vibrakeys.
Vibrakeys.
Because I didn't know a lot about,
That name came from the beings that offered them to me. I saw a vision of the whole energetics of this art before I started it, and I thought that it would be something like a sound booth with light and sound and smells and movement and codes and all kinds of things moving, and then it ended up that I expressed them in a two-dimensional flat earth form, but they're portals and doorways to many other beings and places and energies and activations, and you name it. There's a lot going on in these Vibrakeys. They're very dimensional, and they travel with us in our conscious evolution, which is really interesting, because one Vibrakey, you can enter it at a certain layer or level of your progress or your consciousness, and then at the same time, several years later, you can look at it and another doorway is open in it. So they actually don't fall out of sync with our evolution. Sometimes you'll have one, you'll be really attracted to it and playing with it, and then suddenly it will just go sort of dormant because there isn't anything in it at the moment that is, touching where you're at. And so as and then later on, maybe a year later, you'll notice that one is drawing your attention again. Of course, I've grown up with them. They've birthed through me, they've birthed me, I've birthed them. And so I've had an 13-year experience with these designs. And they were actually born before the concept or the idea or the energies of omni-dimensional travel adventures. And these adventures came about because I was serving more in the aspect of a healer, a healer, and working with a lot of people with a lot of troubles. A healer usually sees people who are disturbed and having troubles and wanting to fix something. And so at a certain point, probably around 2008, I noticed I was getting very tired of that. I was getting it was getting worn out for me, and I needed something. I needed to reframe my life and my purpose somehow. And it occurred to me that simultaneously, while doing this and doing the Vibrakeys, I was, well, I need to back up one moment. I had met Colin Whitby, who lives in the UK, probably one of your neighbors, Santari. And it was in Santari and Solera's quantum relationship e-course back in 2002 that Colin and I first heard each other's voice. You know, just like when you heard my voice on the, that's the first time I think we touched, was in the Spark Your Creative Genius course. And so, you know, we went on and did another course right after that called Quantum Creators, which cracked my world open. You know, so Santari's magicality and expansive view of things, and Solera's amazing ability to create language that really expresses these other realms, just lit me on fire, you know, and turned my world into a new fun palette, you know, to create with. And so Colin and I met at that time and found that we had a very long-term soul connection, and we had this uncanny ability to tune in, which is what we do. We meet on Skype like this because he lives in the UK and I live in the United States. And at the time I was living in Hawaii, and we've never met personally. So all of our adventures are created, you know, are interfaced with Skype or, you know, some type of an instant messaging. At first it was telephone or emails or, you know, something like that. Now it's Skype or that kind of thing. So we meet on Skype regularly, and we do these, what turn into these amazing adventures. And usually we don't do video, we do typing so that it's like a chat. And so it creates these transcripts. And so I literally have thousands of these transcripts. And one of the things that I love to do during it is, you know, I keep right next to my, you know, I keep a little piece of, you know, piece of paper and a pen, and I draw, you know. And quite often what happens is, you know, we have, this is a Vibrake, and this is the dragon's eye. And
I could tell. It's beautiful. Wow.
And it actually has the Alcyon constellation in it, if you can see that.
Oh my
God. It's quite amazing when you stare into that.
Oh my gosh.
And things happen.
Yeah.
And that's how the Omni-Dimensional Travel Adventures began. Is sometimes we just say, let's tune in, and we go to our heart, and from our heart we get quiet, and then, you know, sometimes someone's already feeling something, and sometimes all of us, you know, one of us isn't feeling anything, and we have to do a little energetic work to get opened up. And, you know, like in the Spark Your Creative Genius, we have to touch into this flow that is greater than where we're at in the moment, and sometimes clear blocks. You know, we've come, you know, something's come up, an old emotion or something we have to clear. So we'll help each other do that, and then all of a sudden one of us will say, yeah, well, can you see that dragon right over there? Or, well, I can feel an energy moving in close. Or let's both stare at this eye and see where it takes us. You know, often we'll choose a Vibrake and use that as the stimulus or the impetus to travel. And back to the what I was going to say is back to that decision to move from being a healer to what I realized is I love doing these adventures. They are delightful. They are enlightening. They awaken us. They take us places we've never been. We develop new friendships through these adventures. Sometimes my partner Maramar joins us, and sometimes we will do like a public webinar or something, and other people will join us, or we'll just invite someone. You know, like it would be really fun sometime to do one with the two of you, and get Colin on and do a omni-dimensional travel adventure.
Yeah.
I can
And
imagine.
and we can record it as a quantum creativity
Yes,
segment. That would be beautiful.
that would be really fun, and then you invite your audience to come with you. And so at that point I decided that I was going to focus my work on fun and adventure. And in the fun and the adventure does come healing if it's needed. Mm-hmm. Blocks can be removed, but they're sort of secondary. They're not the focus. Exactly. The focus is to open you up to new aspects of yourself, mm-hmm. new places, new concepts, new friends, to bring codes in, to do things that are positive and empowering to the earth. Quite often we will, one of us will be way out there at the edge of creation. We call it creation 3. And one of us will be trying to get there and say, I can't get there. And so I stop and I look around and I go, but where am I? And I find that my feet are muddy down in the earth, and I am connected to Mother Earth. And my role in this adventure is to reach out, receive into my heart or my body what Colin is out on the edge of creation, gathering up and sending through, or an aspect of him, and I'm receiving it, and it's flowing straight through me into the earth. Exactly. So they're fun, but they do things that are very, we believe they do things that are very positive to the earth, and for the earth and for the people.
Yeah.
Occasionally go ahead.
I was going to say, what a beautiful way to introduce people to this new way of working and not even working, playing with energy, because they're not used so much to just get on here and let's just go take this adventure, and we don't have a particular set point. We're just going to let it take us where it needs to take us, and then we know that's going to be win-win for everyone, and it's going to serve in the end the bigger picture of all life. So that's enough. I mean, that's it.
Well, that's exciting, because you can go places beyond your mind, because your mind can only tell you what it knows, and a lot of this is beyond our mind. It's through the gateway of the heart. I have one Vibrakey that's, I call them VK 38, and it's called the Sacred Heart Gate. And that's a keystone in my whole piece of work, in the whole Vibrakey dimensional. The Vibrakeys are like this huge dimensional cube with doors and portals and faces, and all the Vibrakeys together create one system. But this, I almost brought it in, but I didn't today. But the Sacred Heart Gate is a key point to all of our adventures, because they all are it's that gateway through the portal through the heart that creates benevolence and safety and focus, and takes us into the free will universe versus, say, the control and domination system. And that's one thing that I've been very aware of, is there are many beings that would like to play, and they are playing within different systems. And recently I just did a self-project called Taking Myself to a New Level of Sovereignty and Free Will. And so I really activated my free will and used some tools, beautiful tools online, that helped me with contract revocations and vow breaks, that took me in my own confidence to a place where my own free will is activated outside of the control and domination system. And that we're very interested in assuring ourselves, and anyone who goes with us or anyone who uses the Vibrakeys, because they're very powerful, that these are all offering that, that entry into that world which is beyond what most of us have lived our whole lives within, the control and domination system, which is which is what's working the earth right now. And like Santari and Saleena, they play outside of that system. I haven't gotten to know you yet, so I don't know where you play. But,
I play everywhere. I play in and out and in and out, and I ground and anchor, and I'm all over the place because I feel like that's how I'm supposed to be doing it right now. So it's in and out. It's a weaving for me. It's a weaving according to each moment as it's needed. I'll go and I'll come out, and I'll go in and I'll come out, and I'll play in and out.
That's right. Well, that's a good description of omni-dimensional travel adventures. Yeah. Sometimes the adventures can be, you can see this Vibrakey right there. That is called Out of the Void. And
that's the bottom. That's the bottom one, is it?
Yes. Yes, and I can't even remember the number online right this moment, but Out of the Void was my soul portrait. I do soul portraits for people sometimes in the same way that we do the omni-dimensional travel adventures. And it was my birthday, and I had done a soul portrait for Colin, which, he talks about that on his Magic of Being website. And that was so much fun. I thought, I want to do one for myself. And so this Vibrakey came through called Out of the Void, and it was rather austere. It was nothing like his soul portrait, which was him holding magical spheres, juggling a rainbow with codes that connect him to the golden star beings, and mine was like a triangle, and it said the void, and the void backwards, and had a beam of light and a few things, and it was like, gosh, that's it, It's like, And what they said to me was, well, you came out of the mother. You came straight out of the void and came here. And all of your memories are implanted, but you're, basically an agent from the void to do certain things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had to wrap my whole self around that. And when you do omni-dimensional travel adventures, quite often we meet beings that we perceive as another being outside of ourselves. An example would be I kept meeting this being called the Ancient One, and Colin kept meeting a being that we call the Pilot. And we have aspects of ourselves that were involved in organic living ships, in the creation of and the bringing forth of organic living ships into this creation. And so for the longest time, we felt like, these were beings not ourselves. We were meeting these wonderful beings. Well, now Colin has a way of saying quite often in our adventures, oh my gosh, I think that's me. And he would say it so often, I go, Colin, you always say that, And eventually I realized he was right. He is right. That these aspects that contact us, probably 99% of the time, are an aspect of our own soul that we're gathering together, this family of our own soul, to become more, to co-create, sometimes to merge with, sometimes just to know and co-create and share information with. And so I can go back to this dragon.
I could stare at this all day long. If you can just put it on there, I will just stare.
Yes. Well, on the website, the art is there for sale, and you choose them by what you're attracted to. You'll suddenly go, ooh, that one. Yeah. And what's really fun about them is, if you can see it, there's information on the back that tells the purpose, the possibilities, some potentials of meditative adventures that you can take with it, how to use it, how it came about, that sort of thing.
I will love to use this with the children, because a lot of my work is with magical children from such high dimensions that they will be having a fun with that one. They will be, me and them and this dragon eye, we
You
will
will
be on
say,
top of it.
Yes,
look
yes,
into
yes,
the
yes.
eyes.
We will be
Well,
transported.
Patricia Pereira wrote a series called the Arcturian Songs, and she saw these. I met her in Hawaii, and she saw the Vibrakeys, and she said, "Oh, these are for the new children." She says, "I know they'll help adults, but these are for the new children." So, what I wanted to say about the dragon is that Ta'Ursh is a creator dragon, and he is a dragon that is beyond most dragons that you've met. There are dragons, and then there's dragons, and then there's dragons. You know, there's generations of dragons. And these dragons have been an amazing part of our adventures. We have met crystal dragons that bring us codes. I met one, his name is Aganmar, and he's a crystal dragon. And he came to me one day. I went into my studio after we had spent a week at this amazing seminar in Hawaii called Dolphin Time Travel and Teleportation seminar. And we were just done. I went into my studio early in the morning, and I heard a voice like, hello, and I sat down with my notebook and started writing the conversation. We conversed for 10 hours.
Wow.
This said that our DNA, the blueprint of our DNA had been hijacked, and that the crystal dragons had held the original DNA blueprint for Creator for however long, from the time it got hijacked. They held it, and that it was time to offer it back to humanity to reset to the original crystal blueprint that our Creator had intended. And so that Vibrakey isn't published yet, but that one conversation led to maybe several years of adventures of meeting with Aganmar, meeting the crystal dragons, them taking us places, showing us things, activating, sharing codes, bringing things was introduced back into the consensus reality grid. So now that is available to everyone, even though consciously they haven't, touched into it. It is available now. And, and then we went on to, become such great friends. And Aganmar is the one that introduced us to Ta'Ursh. And just recently, Colin and I touched in, and as we connected with Ta'Ursh. Now, Santari's a little bit familiar with Ta'Ursh because Colin was talking about that, well, both of you, during the Spark Your Genius Writers course. And he had some flow of writing coming through this great dragon, which is an aspect of ourselves. And a great dragon like Ta'Ursh might have 1,000 souls or more in it, that 1,000 people could say that's me, because they're a piece of that soul. And at least I know that Colin and I are both a piece of that dragon soul.